How's it going, guys? Maz here. Today I'm going to show you how we can get one of the best weapons in the game. And of course, the weapon I'm referring to is the Master Sword in Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. Let's go. So first things first, the only requirement that you really need 2 full stamina wheels. That's it. And before you ask, no, you can't use meals that give you extra stamina wheels. The yellow stamina wheels don't count. So as we know, completing a shrine will give us 1 light of blessing. Every 4 lights of blessings that we get, we can then go over to a goddess statue and exchange those lights of blessings to get either 1 full heart or a small part of extra stamina. So you need to have a total of 5 upgrades, 4 blessings per upgrade. You're looking at 20 shrines that we need to complete in total to get a full second wheel of stamina. Although if you have a bunch of hearts already, you can actually go to the horned statue beneath Lookout Landing and trade your hearts for stamina upgrades, which could potentially save you some time and you won't need to do as many shrines. So where exactly do we find this Master Sword? Well, unlike Breath of the Wild, where we were able to find it in this Korok forest right here, instead, it's actually high up in the sky. More specifically, the Light Dragon has the Master Sword, and you guys can see the front of its head is glowing. That's where you're going to find the Master Sword. Now, the Light Dragon is extremely high up in the sky and can be very difficult to reach. It flies around the entire map of Hyrule and is on a set path that will take a total of 2 real-life hours to make 1 full course around the map. Now, you guys could see I have full max Zonai batteries here. It's not required to get to this Light Dragon. It honestly isn't. Using a large Zonai charge will make sure that your battery energy doesn't deplete for a certain amount of time. So you could just use a few of these to get you exactly where you need to go. In some cases, you may even be able to just paraglide over, but it is going to be helpful to make a Zonai device to help you fly through the air. Now, of course, on the subject of creating a flying device that's going to help us get to this Light Dragon here, just make the hover bike. It's honestly the easiest and most efficient thing that you can do. All you need is 2 fans and a steering stick, and it only costs 9 Zonai to make. So I'll show you guys very quickly how to make one. So take out 2 fans, take out a steering stick. I'm just going to drop that down like this. And what we'll do is we're just going to grab the steering stick. We're going to rotate it once and attach it like so. So it should look something like this. And just make sure that when you're creating your hover bike, you're paying attention to the symbols here. So just make sure that that little symbol is pointing up. So that way it's not going to tilt when you try and fly it. Then just going to grab the second fan. So and you're just going to make sure that the bottom part of the fan is attached. So when you're looking at it, it should look like this. So you want to make sure that you're attaching the fan to that bottom part, and then you're good to go. Now, once you're all prepared, there's a few ways that we can find this Light Dragon. Now, the first way is to complete the main quest called the Dragon's Tears, which involves finding all the memory locations and dragon tears. But you'll first need to complete the Impa and Geoglyphs quest before you can start it. This is a long quest line that takes you all over Hyrule, but once you complete it, the Light Dragon will come straight to you, allowing you to get the Master Sword right then and there without needing to track the dragon down. And if you decide to do this quest, just make sure that you have your 2 stamina wheels already. That way you can go straight to the dragon and get the Master Sword. This to me is the easiest way to get the dragon to come to you, but it's also the most time consuming because you need to do 2 quests. The first one isn't that time consuming, but it's the second one here, the Dragon's Tears, that is going to be a much longer quest because we have to go to all the different geoglyphs all over Hyrule. That's your first option. Now, the second option doesn't involve any quests and it likely won't take you nearly as much time to do. So all you need to do, just head up to the Sky Islands and you want to try and get to a very high point in the game. Each of these locations will allow you to get a large view of the surrounding area, which can help you spot out the dragon. If you don't see it, you can travel between each of these areas and use them to scout the dragon out. Or what you could do is you can actually just stay at one of these locations and just wait it out until the dragon eventually comes to you. One of my favorite spots is if you actually just fast travel over to the Nichoya Shrine. So you can actually just use Ascend right in front of the shrine. And if you do, it'll take you right to the very top. And this gives us a very good vantage point to overlook basically all of Hyrule. This is the perfect height to get to the Light Dragon because we'll actually be able to paraglide straight to it without even needing to use the Zonai device. All right, so I did just want to test this out just to see how long it could potentially take. And it took me about a good 10, maybe 15 in real life minutes. And look who decided to finally show up. So I'm going to show you how we can get directly to the light dragon without even needing to use a single Zonai device or anything. So we'll just make our way, we'll get a little bit more height, see the dragon there? And we're just going to go for it. Now, because we have 2 full stamina wheels, we are going to be able to paraglide for a very long time, so I'm not worried about that at all. Just remember, as we get closer to any dragon, they do have an updraft that surrounds them. So as long as we get close enough, it should just take us directly upward into the air. The updraft should help us out here. Let's see. Updraft. Oh, here it is. Look, we got the updraft. Yes, we're making it. Boom, look at that. Success. And we still had stamina to spare as well. So this method could be very quick and can only take you maybe a few minutes, or it could potentially take you an hour or more. It really does just depend on where the dragon is at the time. We know where it's going to be, but the problem is we don't know exactly where it is at any given time. So it does make this method feel like it is a little bit up to chance, but there is a way that we can change that, which brings us to option 3. So this is the one that I personally recommend just because it makes it extremely easy to get to the light dragon, and it just feels like the most natural way to do it. We need to start the quest called Recovering the Hero's Sword. To do that, we need to make our way into the Korok Forest. Except we're not able to enter the Korok Forest through the Lost Woods like we were in Breath of the Wild. And I'll show you guys why. So if we try and make our way through the Lost Woods, look what happens. We get kicked out immediately, and there's absolutely nothing we can do about it. We can try and run through. It doesn't matter. It always ends up being the exact same thing. We get kicked out. So because we're not able to enter the Korok Forest through Lost Woods, we're actually going to need to find a different way. And to get there, we just need to enter this chasm nearby. You can head just from the Elden Canyon Skyview Tower. It's very close to the Woodlands stable. Now, before you decide to go into this chasm, do yourself a very quick favor. You're going to open up your map, go to the very center of the Korok Forest, and you're going to switch to your depths map. Then I just want you to place a marker down like that. Now go ahead and make your way down into the chasm, and that will lead us right into the Minshi Grove. So we're just going to get some giant bright bloom seeds, and we're going to help light our path. You guys are going to see that there is this long pathway here. The Poes are leading the pathway, and it's going to take us directly to the center of Korok Forest. And we're going to follow all the Poes until it eventually leads us to this light route right here. We're going to make it to a point where we start to see these creepy looking trees, which are the same ones that we would normally see on the surface of Hyrule in the Lost Woods. So just be careful when you reach this part here, because there is a Gloomhand spawn. They're going to spawn somewhere around here, so just be careful of that. Now, of course, you don't need to just walk this path. You can just use your hover bike as well, or any other sort of Zonai creation that you want, just to make things go much faster and smoother for you. As we're flying along here, eventually we're going to make it through the Korok Grove, and what we want is we want to get to this light route right here in this large structure straight ahead. Keep following the Poes, follow the path, and eventually you're going to head to this point right here. Okay, so once we make it to this location, all we need to do is just head straight into the middle, and we're going to use Ascend right through the top. And once we make it through, directly into the Korok Forest. Except the forest isn't at all what you'd expect it to be. Everything seems very off, and there's definitely a reason for that. It's because the forest has been corrupted. Let's just quickly activate this shrine so that way we can fast travel to it later. So in order to get this quest started, what we need to do is first purify this forest. We're just going to head down through the middle part of the tree. We're going to enter this little tunnel, and right at the back, there's a very small chasm. When we head down here, we're going to have to fight a Gloomhand spawn and one other enemy. Now, if you've never defeated a Gloomhand spawn before, you're going to be in for a bit of a surprise. So before we go down here, make sure you have some strong weapons with you, and also have some food that's going to help recover some health. Then once you're ready to go, we're just going to jump straight into the chasm, and once we make it to the bottom here, we're going to be greeted to a gloom spawn right here. Now, the best way to deal with them, I would say, is to throw bomb flowers right in the center of them, but you can use Dazzle Fruit. Dazzle Fruit and Puff Shrooms are fantastic because they'll actually be able to stun and confuse them, giving you a chance to kind of create some distance between you and the hands. So if we grab a Dazzle Fruit here as an example, you can kind of see how they're stunned. Then we could just grab a Bomb Flower, throw it straight in the middle, they get a little bit close, you can always use a puff shroom. So that way now they can't see where you are, and this gives you a chance to throw some more bombs at them. Now, of course, if you don't have bomb flowers, you can also use time bombs. If you don't have those, just try and stun them with your dazzle fruit or your puff shrooms. That way, you know, you'll be able to just kind of sneak up behind them and hit them with your sword and your weapon. After you defeat the Gloom Hands, then we get Phantom Ganon that spawns. And Phantom Ganon can be pretty tough because he hits like a truck. So just be wary of this slash right here. See how much damage he took? So you got to be very careful with this guy right here. He's going to do a spin attack. Now, as you attack him, the gloom that surrounds him is going to dissipate. You know, don't be afraid to attack him. If you time it just right, you can actually get some flurry rushes on him. Now, another thing you can do is if you climb up a wall here, you can actually create some distance, and then you can jump off and use bullet time to kind of just shoot him. Keep shooting him in the head here, and this definitely helps quite a bit. So eventually, after you defeat him, all the gloom in the forest is going to disappear. So now you guys can see everything looks back as it should be. So after this is done, we're going to head back up to the surface, and we're going to go ahead and speak to the Great Deku Tree. So you can go ahead and just fast travel to the shrine that we activated. You can also just ascend off of these rock formations, and that'll also get you back up to the surface as well. So after the forest is purified, now we're just going to speak to the Great Deku Tree, and once we do that, it's actually going to start the very first memory. So he's just going to talk about the Master Sword, and he's going to say that he senses it. If you guys notice here, we actually have a location on our map. This location is moving in real time. We're now able to track the Light Dragon. And there we go. Now we've started the quest, recovering the hero's sword. So now that this quest is started, we got ourselves a live tracker of where the Light Dragon is, and it's also going to be much closer down to the ground, and it's lowered in altitude as well. Also, as a quick side note, Hestu is now here, so he moved from Lookout Landing. This is the third and final spot that he'll be for the rest of the game. Now let's go get that Master Sword. All right, so let's take a look at the map here. This is where the Light Dragon is. So what we'll do is we'll just actually travel to the nearest Skyview Tower. You guys are going to see that now the Light Dragon is much closer to the ground. You normally wouldn't see it this close at all. So we're just going to take this Skyview Tower straight up into the air. And at this point, it's going to be very easy to get to the Light Dragon. We're just going to glide straight to it. Now, of course, if it isn't close to a Skyview Tower, you could also try and just go to the nearest Sky Island and just try and paraglide through there as well. Or you could just use the hover bike like I showed you guys earlier. So here we go. So we're finally making it over to the Light Dragon. We're going to go ahead and just make our way all the way to the front. Collect the shards on your way. And once we make it to the top, you'll see the Master Sword is shining in all its glory, waiting for us to pull it out. Now, after you do pull the Master Sword, you are going to unlock memory number 18. So if you guys don't want to see what happens next, you can go ahead and skip ahead to the end of the video where I'm going to just tell you guys a bit more information about the Master Sword. But without further ado, let's get this Master Sword. We get a nice little cutscene. It's finally time to pull out the Master Sword. And with that, the Master Sword is officially ours. We're gonna get dropped off by the Light Dragon, and we officially have the Master Sword. So now that we've unlocked the Master Sword, there is just a couple things I wanted to mention before I end this video. So just like Breath of the Wild, it's obviously not like other weapons because it doesn't have durability. Instead, it holds energy. So if you just hold the R button, you can actually just shoot beams with it. Once all the energy is used up, it will need to recharge before you can use it again. And the recharge time is 10 real life minutes. Now, the Master Sword itself does not display a base weapon damage, but it is speculated that it is the same as it was in Breath of the Wild, which was 30 base damage. When we are near certain enemies, the Master Sword will glow, and in which point the damage will be doubled. What makes the Master Sword very different in this game is the fact that we can fuse any material to it. you could see that now the material is fused and the sword itself has a green glow to it. So that's how you know that it's fused with a weapon. And what's really cool is that it looks normal, but when you swing it, it'll actually take the form of the material that it's fused to. Now, of course, you can destroy the fused material. Just keep in mind that when the Master Sword's energy is depleted, the material it's attached to will be destroyed. And one of the best materials to fuse to a Master Sword would be a dragon horn, but more specifically, Nadra's horn. Because of the freezing effect that it gives, fusing a Nadra's horn onto the Master Sword just makes it incredibly powerful, gives it a very strong freezing effect, which just makes fights super easy. Another material that I like to use is fusing with the Light Dragon's horn, because then every attack that you hit with will actually heal and replenish your hearts. So there you guys have it. We have the Master Sword in all its glory, and boy is it a lot of fun in this game. So if you guys found this video helpful, I'd appreciate if you can give it a like, and don't forget to hit subscribe because I have a lot more Tears of the Kingdom content coming your way soon. Thank you all so much for watching. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you guys in the next video. All the best, guys.